Hello everyone, welcome back to the Plunder Den. In this week's episode, we're going to be building some native fortifications. So this is really an episode 3 in a 3-part series. So the 2 previous episodes were mainly the construction of a palisade fort, a North American native palisade fort. And in this episode, there's a little bit of building in it, but most of this is a painting tutorial. So that willow fence is great for building the entire structure, but we really need to cover it with paint. And I really like to cover it with craft paint to seal in that fencing. And it, to make it match all the rest of the terrain. So it really needs to be painted, so I wanted to do a separate video on that. I really want to show aged wood, and like I mentioned before, I kind of want to do a separate episode for that. So we do that in this this episode. I cover off the colors I use, and I show the painting techniques that I do to complete that. So that's pretty much what we're doing in here. I just want to show you a couple of sections of the wall, similar to the last video. It's so large you can't get it in the screen here, but just to take a look at it. So here's a piece right here. So you can see we kind of got a little bit of aged wood and faded to where it's a little bit still got some life to it in the center here. We've added some basing to our walls here. So added some stones and painted that up. We got some bushes and some grasses. You can see on the other side here. We had some gravel. And just kind of finish off this entire wall. And then I spent some time on the ramp getting up to the second level. Just added some materials in there, added some twine on here just to give it a kind of a more rustic feel to it. And then this kind of a symbol I've been kind of adding. I actually seen a picture of some canoes that had this on it, and I kind of like that symbol. And I just kind of added to a few different things in this piece. I added to some canoes, I added to some of the wigwams, and I added it to this stairwell as well. Now, it may not be absolutely historically correct, but it's I think it's in the realm of reality. It's close to approximation. And of course, my references were only artwork, so I really don't have an exact reference of how they looked. So this is my ideal image of it, and not mainly completely historically correct. And of course, I want to use this piece of terrain for all sorts of games, right? Not just Blood and Plunder. It can be used for all sorts of other games. You could even use orcs in this fortification, right? It can be for Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or whatever you want to use it for. It could be a generic piece of terrain. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's get down to the table. And I'm going to say we're going to do some crafting and some painting in this this tutorial. Okay, so unlike the other videos, I'm going to start off by just getting right to it. We're going to start putting some of these bindings on the ramp here. That's where I kind of didn't get to that in the second episode there, but we're going to get to it now. And I really just wanted to, I wasn't really sure if I was going to use some twine, but I decided to use this hobby twine. A little easier to bend it around the area. Of course, I put a little bit of white tacky glue there first, just to kind of just keep it in place once it dries. And it's just to make it look a little more rustic, like they tied these timbers together and decided to go with this hobby wire instead. It's kind of similar to what the wigwams have, and it just kind of matches everything else that I already have on this piece. So that's what I'm doing here. I decided to hit most of the junctions, not all of them, but most of them. So you can see how I put it onto some of them and not all of them. I didn't go on the bottom because I wanted to sit flat. And then I decided I wanted to put some more details on it, some materials, so like maybe some skins or some cloth that they put onto this ramp going up. Similar to, again, like the wigwam, to match the rest of the terrain. Then I plan on covering everything with black paint. So I got my jumbo bottle here, Folk Art Black Multi-Surface Craft Paint. because we got a lot to paint on this piece. All those pieces have to be covered in black paint. Mainly because that willow fencing, it can be brittle and chip off. So you want to put the black paint on to seal everything in. And then, of course, when you're putting the material on, I kind of paint the one side and then paint it to the piece where I am. Now, I did put a little bit of white tacky glue on the corners too, just to reinforce that. So this is after I've completed that. You can see they're stuck on really well. And I've done all the pieces. Now, this took some time. Took actually a couple days to do all this. I don't recommend doing it with a rattle can. It's not going to seal in as well. You could use some kind of Mod Podge kind of formula, but I just like craft paint. So I'm moving on to real brown. So we're going to start doing the undertones. And they're going to spend some more time covering a little bit more of this. So I've just done it in fast forward just for time's sake, just to speed it up. I can kind of describe what's going on here. And I'm just kind of showing you the brush strokes that I am doing here. You can see how harsh I am. Of course, I sped up, but how hard I am on my pieces. So I just want to make sure that they're all glued and put together properly. And you can see I'm painting that walkway. This is similar to the docks where I start laying in colors, where I'm going to put my weathering. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more color on that walkway. But just hit everything pretty lightly. So I'm just going to move to some of the walls as well. It really, I'm just going to cover everything with this real brown. And I don't cover it completely. I just leave some black areas, but just give it a kind of a nice brushing of everything, just to give it a nice dark brown color. But we certainly want to keep some of the black undertone on there. That's going to give us some nice shadowing and on here, especially on this weathered wood that we're painting here. So this is bark brown. Moving on to the lighter brown now. Again, this is sped up. Just for time's sake, we can speed up. You can see how much lighter it is. And we're just adding it on there. But you don't have too much on my brush. I got my paper towel there on the side, and I'm kind of just have a little bit on my brush. Again, I'm going to spend some more time lightening that walkway, just because I want it to be more weathered on the top. And that's what I'm doing there. And what I did was I used the other segment there of the wall that it's connected to and just kind of carried over the paint right over to there. It just makes it look more uniformed when you put them together, where the paint just carries right over. So I decided to just paint them together like that and carry up that color right onto the top. So then I'm just hitting the bottoms, the sides, and just hitting everything with that brown. So now I'm going to move to Pablo, the orange color. You can see I've actually lightened it up quite a bit with that bark brown. But now we're going to hit it with some of this Pablo. Maybe I hit a little bit too much there, but you can always go back with some of the other browns just to mute that a little bit. But remember, this goes on bright and dries darker, right? So it may look pretty vibrant when you put it on, but it dries a little darker. So again, just carrying that color up over onto the second level, just so it looks more uniformed with the base, so it really connects together really well. And I want to hit the center of this wall, and that's kind of where I want the wood to look a little healthier, if I would say, because the rest of it's going to be kind of more grays as the wood is aging, and it's a little bit lighter in the center, but really gray on the ends where the wood's been cut. So we're going to kind of capture that in the paint here. But I'm going to hit all these other areas first. Lots of shading. Again, this took some time to paint all these pieces. And I'm only showing you pretty much the two pieces here. I'm not going to cover every piece. They're all painted in the same manner. So this is camel. We want to hit some of the edges of some of the posts. We want to hit the bindings to make it look like rope. We're going to hit those patches that I have here, these pieces of material, just to give it a little more, just an aged look. Now that is Fabric Creations. I kind of just didn't mention that when we went there. But I've used this. It's the same material I use for my sails on my ships and stuff. I get it at Walmart, just to remind everybody. And you can see I'm just hitting the ends of the timbers. I hit the bindings with that camel. I just I really wanted to flush this out a little bit more for you guys in this painting tutorial. That's the advantage of doing a painting tutorial opposed to just kind of trying to slam it all together in one video. This way I get a little more time to, show you this. And I'm going to hit the camel. Instead of going to a yellow ochre, I'm just going to use camel to light the walkway and give it that really weathered look. So we're going to add that on there as well. And you can see I haven't dipped my brush back in the paint. It's really just kind of what's on my brush. I'm just rubbing it in there. And hitting the tops of those. And we're going to hit the stones on the bottom. So I switched to my smaller brush. And we're going to hit all these stones at the tops of the timbers and then the bindings that are in the middle between the fence, just to make those metal bindings look more like rope. So then we just got our standard rock colors. That's desert yellow, skeleton bone, necrotic flesh, and mummy robe. I'm not going to cover that too much in this video. I've covered that stone work before. Just showing you I'm using the desert yellow and the skeleton bone to hit the end of the timbers to change up the color. So then I'm going to use an army green on this material just to give it a little bit of color. Kind of have a smaller medium brush here. And I'm just kind of putting that on there. And I've, again, fast-forwarded this. When I was actually filming this, it actually took some time. I probably should use a larger brush. But I kind of do like using a smaller brush. I just have more control, I feel, on here. And really, I don't want to cover it completely green. I just wanted to give it a green tone to it. So you can see some of the raised areas. I'm making it a little bit lighter. But in the middle, I'm keeping it kind of dark. Because I just wanted to make it feel a little more weathered. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here with this. Alright, so now we're going to move on to aging that wood. So we got some Necromancer Cloak, some Ash Gray, and we got that speed paint, those new speed paints, hardened leather. But I've been using that one a lot lately. So we're going to start with the Necromancer Cloak. And it's kind of a darker gray, but it's got a bit of a brown tinge to it. So I find it perfect for the undertone. So we're going to hit the tops of the timbers. And really we're going to hit the areas where the wood's been cut. So the bottom and the top is where it's been cut first. So it's dying there. And wood starts to turn gray as it ages. And most forts, actually, the entire thing is all gray. But we're going to say that this has a little bit of life left in it. Maybe they just built this fort, and it's got just more contrast, more interest to it. It has a little bit of its original color, but also some gray. So I just kind of wanted to spend a little bit more time on there. That's just kind of my smaller medium brush, kind of used for painting my ships. It's kind of a square brush, and I just like tapping it on there. So I'm not covering it completely. I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of a gray tone to it. You can still see some of the brown underneath. Now, you can't see in this camera here, but there's a lot of texture with that willow fence. That's what I really love about it. So it really highlights the raised areas. So you can see it kind of hit the bottoms, and I hit the tops with that Necromancer Cloak. And now we want to move to the ash gray. And this is really going to give it, and you're only going to hit the bottom. So the bottom is going to see the most kind of action, let's just say, the most aging as it's sitting in the mud and the water, and it'll get the most damage. So I want to add a little bit more. It's even aged even further on the bottom. So I've added this light ash gray to it. And it gives it really kind of a really old-looking, aged look to it, to the fence. So I carried those colors over to the ramp as well, and I kind of just wanted to highlight that that I also did it on the ramp as well. You just want it to all match. Now these are similar colors to what I used on the wigwams, so the whole piece has an overall matching feel to it. Everything looks like it's part of the same structure. So I'm not really dry brushing it on here, but I don't have a whole lot of paint on there. I just so I'm not completely covering it. Similar to the Necromancer Cloak, I'm just tapping a little bit on there, kind of getting some of the raised areas, just giving a feel to it that it's starting to age on the bottoms. So then we're going to move to the hardened leather, and this is kind of accentuate some of the let's just say the wood parts that are still in decent shape. They have their original color still. So you have that nice play between the two and the contrast between the two. I really love this hardened leather for wood. It is fantastic. This is my new favorite color when it comes to like contrast paints. But this is a speed paint, but it is fantastic. I use it for all sorts of things, and definitely highly recommend that paint. So you can see on here, I'm just going to hit those fences. Now, you could have left it with the orange colors that were there, but I like the look of the hardened leather over top of the Pablo that's on there. It really has a nice look to it, and it just seems they just match really well with the aged parts that I put on there already. And I really wanted to share this with you guys, how I do that, and I like the end result. I mean, again, you could have gone all the way with the gray and not have any of this wood. It's really up to you. A lot of forts I've seen do have a completely solid gray timbers. As it ages, the timbers completely die. So then we got Agrax Earthshader, Skeleton Horde, and that's kind of for the stonework on the bottom and the bases. And then we got some Commando Green to add a little bit of plant life to the bottom. So we're not going to show this a whole lot as well in this video. Again, I've done. I did it actually in the previous video. I showed how I added the skeleton horde to the stones and stuff. So we're not going to rehash that in this video. But I kind of just wanted to mention that's the next steps that I took in here. I'm definitely adding that Commando Green to give it a little more plant life to the bottoms. All right, so I'm just showing you that symbol that's on that wigwam. I want to kind of match that onto that ramp. So I got some dragon red here that I'm going to put down first to freehand it on there. And then to highlight it, use the pure red. Now those two are my favorite two red colors to use for uniforms and all sorts of stuff. You got a kind of a darker red and then add that bright red over top, that pure red. And really, I just freehanded this on with that brush. And it's kind of like an oval shape. I know right now the camera's focusing in more on my handle, my hand. But that's how I just apply that on there and just made some dots. It's a pretty simple design. Again, like I said, I saw that on a side of a canoe, and I thought it was really, really cool. So I'm just kind of showing you the overall finished product. You see all those different colored timbers on the walkway. I'm really, really happy how that turned out. All right, so now it's time to add some foliage to everything, some plant life. We got some tufts here from Army Painter. Well, actually, most of this stuff is Army Painter. That's some more swampland tufts. We got the brown battleground that I use for my pathways. We got some grass green. We got some field grass here. And then this is another favorite of mine, the steppe grass. And then we got some of, these are a little bit of stones that come with kind of a basing kit for Army Painter for your miniatures. We got the moss collection here from Walmart. And that green stuff that's up top there is actually the leftover tree from way back in that one of those first videos I did where I built that destroyed building. I tore apart all the leaves off that tree. Well, I kept it in a bag, and I figured now's the time to use it as a little bit of foliage, and I'm just going to use it to cover this up. So I'm just showing you I'm using my old beat-up brush there to paint on some white tacky glue, and that's really what I do. I just add the white glue onto where I want to put it on, and then I just add my foliage. So I usually start with the steppe grass on the shady side, so the inner part where the walkways, the grass is not as bright because it's not seeing as much light, and then you have the lighter green on the outside, and that's pretty much how I do a lot of my fences and walls. And then I decided to add some bushes in here, just in some different colors. So we got some of that foliage left from that tree there, and then we got some moss we've added on there. And really, this is up to you. You can add there's all sorts of different products out there that you can use to make foliage. But these are the ones that I've used in this the video. All right, so that's pretty much it. I did add a little bit of tufts. I didn't show you that in the video, but I added some more tufts to those bases too. But let's take a look through this completed forts. Now, this took almost a month to build, but it was really worth it. It was one of those projects I mentioned in the very first episode that I've been putting off, and now it's finally complete. So this is it for a while for the frontier. I do have some plans to build some colonial homes and stuff like that, some two-story houses, and make a kind of a town. But that's down the road. I think we'll step away from this for a while. I'm pretty excited about Raise the Black that's coming out, and do something a little bit more in that vein, and do some other kind of scatter bits. And I want to do some episodes on miniatures. Again, I want to do water tiles. There's all sorts of stuff that are coming up that I would like to do here on the Plunder Den. All right, so we're kind of going to the battlefield. I'm not describing what's going on here. So we got we got Benjamin Church. He's been trying to siege this fort for, well, let's just say 3 weeks now, and we got the different variations of it that I've done here. But this is the overall completed vision I had for this palisade North American native fortification, and I'm really happy how this turned out, and I'm really going to get a lot of use out of this. I really like this particular time period for Blood and Plunder. It's pretty cool. All right, that's pretty much a wrap on this project, this 3-episode project. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this fortification as much as I enjoyed building it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.